Hello, everyone. Welcome to Speakers Bank podcast, Our Voices, Our Views, Seniors Edition. I am your interviewer for this episode, Maria from the JTI podcast team. Today, I am introducing you to one of the amazing and smartest women I've known, Jennifer Strauss. With the stories she will impart to us, I'm sure you will agree with me. Jenny is from Morgan Glen Iris. Hi, Jenny. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Though, like everyone, I suppose I'm getting a bit tired of lockdown, but I still think we have to do it. It's important to keep as many people well as we can.
Yeah, that's true. So, welcome to Speakers Bank, Jenny. First of all, I want to thank you for granting me this opportunity to interview you to discuss about life lessons. Before we proceed, can you please tell me something about yourself? Who is Jenny decades back?
Well, if you go way back, a very long time, say to the 1940s and 50s, Jenny, I suppose, is a serious little girl with her head stuck in a book most of the time. After that, I guess, if you look at the 1960s and the 70s, Jenny has turned into a working wife and mother, juggling all those business of trying to get those responsibilities together. And I guess if you then go to the 1890s, maybe Jenny has turned into a rather fierce feminist, very political person, because she believes, indeed, what feminists were saying at the time, that the personal was political. Or is political, I still believe that. So we change over time.
Yeah, definitely.
And I suppose also I was in the 1980s and 90s having to cope with the fact that I had become a single mother, although I had never expected that. But my husband had died in 1978. And so for the rest of my life, I've been remembering that, but living nonetheless a very full life. So there are all those persons, and now eventually I'm an elderly retired Jenny.
Yeah. So
Yes.
what have you been doing for those years after you've been a single parent?
I'm sorry.
So what is your career after that when you've been a single parent?
The career that I had during my life.
Yeah.
Well, I really went straight from my university degree into a university job. And then since I didn't ever leave it, I stayed there for a very long time.
Wow.
I suppose I had my first university job in 1955. And at that stage, I was very much finding my feet. That was up in New England at the University of New England, which was just starting as a new university. But then I wanted to come back to Melbourne, and I came back to Melbourne, and then I managed to get a scholarship overseas to the University of Glasgow.
Wow.
To do a postgraduate degree, but I did something that nobody, I could never advise anyone nowadays to do if they wanted a career, but I threw up my scholarship to get married. And fortunately, I was very lucky to get my tutorship at Melbourne University back when I
it's very amazing.
And so that, sometimes one should assume that following the path that you choose to pass rather than the path that everybody will advise you to take is a good idea. Anyway, I think I was lucky. And then I was very lucky because at that stage, the whole university sector was being expanded and there were a lot of new universities, and Monash University was just starting up. So by going to Monash University in 1964, I got a tenurable job, and I stayed at Monash until until 2008 in the end. But after 1998, I was there for another 10 years, but on a research fellowship, not teaching anymore. But I guess I felt very strongly. I mean, while I grew up, you always expected to retire at 65. And I felt that this was probably a good thing, mainly because if the old people of the tribe will not make room for the young to have a career, then
did you plan to teach for that long period of time, Jenny, or it's just happened? Like that's already your passion, or did you plan for that to stay in Monash for a long period of time?
I think I've never been a great planner, really. I suppose I notice people ask, why did you decide on a career in teaching? And the answer, I think, probably is that I really didn't decide. When I knew I wanted to do a degree, but it was probably not because I'd really thought a great deal about the future at all. But and I think you have to realize probably that it was a period of high employment. Most people assumed that there would be jobs, and you didn't necessarily have to plan a lot.
That's true.
But it's true that a lot of my colleagues, I mean, I wasn't well off. I wouldn't have been able to go to university if I hadn't got a Commonwealth Scholarship, and they were only introduced in 1951.
And only smart people can have the scholarship.
Yes. But some of my friends had taken up, I had definitely decided already to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And they had taken up, it was quite a good system. You could take a bond to teach. And you were paid a salary. And sometimes I used to think, well, why am I not doing that? And I suppose there was a bit of a sense of keeping options open. Yeah. But when I'd actually graduated and had to think about the fact that I hadn't really planned very much for a career and what was I going to do and look for work, the options I got made it fairly easy to choose, because basically I was offered a job in an advertising company writing advertisements, or a job teaching at the University of New England. And obviously I thought that teaching was a much better thing. I think probably I was influenced by, if I look back, I think I was influenced by the fact that I had important people in my life as role models who were teachers.
Yeah, definitely.
And the first of those, in fact, was my sister. My sister was 6.5 years older than I was, and we were in a little, well, we weren't even in a country town. We were outside in the country on a dairy farm. And she was a born teacher. I think she didn't actually like school very much, but she
maybe it runs in the family,
She taught me to read and to do sums. And so that when I went to school at the age of 6, I was already reading, and I knew my timetables up to 12 times 12.
6 years old.
And then my headmistress was a very important figure for me, and so was my English teacher. So I suppose I had the notion that I had good good role models as teachers.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
That was what I was expected to do if I wanted to stay in the academy and continue to read books.
Jenny, so being a lecturer, so it's not an easy job. I know that. I saw that in my my trainers and my professors, like it's not an easy job because even though when you get home, you still have to do your planning and also your mind still busy with your students. So do you already have the passion for teaching and a lot of patience you should have for your students. So what motivates you to be part of the students' journey? So to be stay there to teach the students.
As you mean, what sort of did the students mean to me as a teacher?
So what motivates you to be part of the students' journey?
Right. Well, I think that I suppose I got a general. I mean, maybe being a mother in a way made me more interested in what was happening in the lives of young people. But as a teacher, I just think that it was so exciting to me to see particularly a student who, especially perhaps the students who weren't so very bright, because the very bright students would learn almost whatever happened.
And you will be proud of the achievement of your students. Like, for example, if I'm your teacher and you've been through a lot of success in your life accomplished, I will be like very proud. Oh, that is my student. That is Jenny. She was my student. So do you feel the same way too?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's nothing quite like that moment when you suddenly see that a student has got it. It's as if a light bulb turns on. And that's very exciting. And you feel proud. And I think also I had a very strong feeling that I wanted their lives to be as rich as they could possibly be. I wanted them to have the kind of confidence, to have opinions, to be really educated and able to use that education out there in the world and to think about things. And I used to say to my students sometimes, look, particularly university students, that you have great privilege. You have 3 years in which your main task is to think.
That's true. So Jenny, as a successful woman, so can you share some insights or advice that we can reminisce over time as we travel the path that you've been through? Like, for example, I am your student. So as a successful woman now, what are the insights or advice that you can share with me, share to our listeners?
Right. Oh dear, it's telling me my internet. So I could hear me okay?
I think the internet was getting low. Hello, Jenny.
That's I think.
I'm sorry, Jenny. I didn't hear the first one.
Okay. I mean, in other words, you shouldn't worry about what's going to be the most important or you're going to need something for your life. Want to get, you want it to do, so you have to use it.
Hello, Jenny.
Although and
hello, Jenny.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I think the network bandwidth is low. That's why.
Yes.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you properly a while ago. I'm sorry for that. Hello.
I got a question was don't try to we just can you at all?
Hello, Jenny.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for that. Yeah.
What do you want to try again?
I think the network is getting low. Yeah, that's why I can't hear you properly a while ago.
To do, Maria?
Hello, Jenny. Can you hear me now?
What do you want to do to
Hello, Jenny.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we've lost.
Yeah, we lost the connection a while ago.
Oh.
I think there's something wrong with the network. That's why your voice is not coming through.
Well, do you want to close and try again and re-click the link? Shall we close down?
Yeah, maybe we can do that, Jenny.
Yeah, I think that would be probably so.
Okay. So I'll
and then
yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jenny. I'll wait for you again. I will just pause the recording first and then. All right. Our question, Jenny, is as a successful woman, can you share insights or advice that we can reminisce over time as we travel the path that you've been through?
Okay. Well, I think as far as an insight, I think what is very important to like what you do. In fact, better to have a passion for what you do almost, but also to try and not be obsessive to, I mean, I'm a great advocate of people having lives that are as rich as possible. So you should not let the idea that you've got to have success in your career mean that, for instance, you won't have a family, which for some women is a real choice. You should do what you want to do and trust in a way that life will work out, even if it doesn't originally do the first thing. I think the other thing that's very important is to have the sense that you are going forward. It may be a bit harder to keep that when you get old, but
yeah, definitely.
And I think sometimes people say, for instance, when you do something like when you lose someone you love, or when you move your house or go into retirement, people say, well, you must move on, you must let go of the past. I don't think you let go of the past. You put the past in your memory, and that's fine. I mean, you must know you're never going to go back to the past. You cannot have back the life that you had at any other stage. But in memory, you can cherish it in a way and look back at it. So it's not a matter of saying that past didn't exist, but don't try to literally revisit it. Try to remember it. And sometimes that will also mean that you can deal with regrets that you have. And everybody looking back at the past will think, if only I'd been kinder to my mother, or if only I never made that stupid remark to someone. And I think you have to acknowledge that sort of thing. But again, you can't put it back, but you can try to ensure that you don't ever make the same mistake again. And I think that's perhaps an important one. Don't repeat your mistakes. But I think it's important to have a good deal of trust in love and in general trust in life and trust in other people. I think in many cases, if you do the right thing to other people, they will usually do the right thing for you. And that's important, to be able to trust people. And all right, sometimes you'll be disappointed in something you've chosen or a way that someone's behaved to you. But you shouldn't take yourself too seriously. I think it's important to be able to laugh as well as to learn from your mistakes. And I don't know, I think you have to understand still as a woman that there are going to be ways in which still you will be discriminated against, that it's very difficult still, I think, for women to perhaps go as far in a career as they might if they want to have children as well. I think it's very sad if women are being forced by circumstances to choose, but I don't think it's fair at all that women should have to choose between being a parent and having a career. Men don't have to make that sort of choice.
It's true.
But to look at the ways in which you might be discriminated against and to fight them. I mean, I thought one of my great achievements at Monash as president of Staff Association was I actually negotiated maternity leave for women staff at Monash back there in the days when that was quite radical. I think Monash was the second university in Australia that had maternity leave. And you just have to put it to people. You don't want to waste your intelligent women because you're insisting that they give up a career for maternity. It's less common. Well, everyone says it's less common now, but to be honest, I think it's probably just as hard, if not harder, for an academic woman now to pursue her career and have children as it was for me, because partly there's been such a shift in valuing teaching as against research. And so women are now being told, oh, well, you've got to get an ARC grant or a medical grant. When are you going to apply for your next grant? When are you going to go to a conference? I was probably assuming I couldn't, but certainly the first time I was invited overseas to a conference, my husband said, of course you can go. He sent me away and he finished renovating the kitchen while I was away and took the children out for dinner every night. So in other words, if you don't speak up about what you want, you won't get it.
That's true.
So speak up. Try not to shout. It's easier to speak sweetly and go around the other side of the wall and turn up looking sweet and saying, oh, was it a wall there?
Yeah, communication is the key.
Yes. So I think and I think find the people who give you confidence. It's important to try to avoid people who are always complaining, always sad. Well, not so much people who are always sad, people who are dissatisfied. There are people who are chronically dissatisfied.
Just giving you like a negative vibes. So, Jenny,
that's quite enough advice, I should think.
So I did learn a lot from our conversation today. So actually, I was jotting down some of your advices, and then I'm sure that our listeners have more insights and good advices from you. So As much as I would like to continue our conversation, I have to end this podcast episode. Again,
Right.
on behalf of Speakers Bank, Jenny, thank you very much for sharing your insights and giving us motivation to be successful in our chosen career. Thank you as well to everyone watching us. If you have any questions or have suggestions or any topic you want to cover, please contact us on 03-968-77066 or visit us at www.speakersbank.org.au. This is Maria saying thank you once again. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Speakers Bank, and to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much, Jenny. Have a great day and keep safe always. Thank you so much.